Welcome back to our deep dive series, Beyond Global Waves. Today we're looking at something that maybe sounds a bit old-fashioned, but it actually has some really surprising ties to everyday tech here in the UK. We're talking about the BBC's long-wave transmitter at 198 kilohertz, which is, well, scheduled to be shut down.
That's right. And long-wave radio, might seem like a thing of the past for many people. But this specific transmitter, it's been doing this hidden, crucial job for years, involving something called telemetry. It actually controls energy meters in, well, quite a number of UK homes.
Telemetry. Okay, that sounds interesting. So this isn't just about turning off an old radio station.
Not at all. It has real practical effects for some listeners.
All right, let's get straight into it then. This BBC transmitter, 198 kilohertz long wave, where is it and what's its main job been over the years?
Well, the main site we're focusing on is the Droitwich Transmitting Station. It's in Worcestershire, England. And it goes way back, established in 1934. It's been a powerhouse for both long wave and medium wave.
1934, wow. And it broadcasts the BBC, but they don't own it.
Correct. The facility itself, it's owned and run by a company called Arqiva.
Arqiva, right. Okay, so Droitwich is central. Are there others? Is it part of a network?
Yeah, it is. Droitwich works together with two other long wave transmitters up in Scotland. There's one at Birkhead and another at Westerglen. And they all broadcast on exactly the same frequency, 198 kilohertz. It's like a synchronized system.
Synchronized, okay.
Yeah.
And physically, what does the Droitwich site look like? Big masts.
Oh, yeah. Think two really tall lattice masts. They're about 213 meters high.
So roughly 700 feet.
Exactly. Pretty imposing. They hold up this T-shaped aerial between them. And it's quite clever, actually. The northern mast does the transmitting, and the southern one acts like a mirror, a passive reflector.
A reflector. What does that do?
It shapes the signal. It creates this sort of heart-shaped pattern, a cardioid pattern, pushing the signal mainly out towards the northeast.
Interesting. You've probably driven past things like that without realizing.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Now, the frequency, you said 198 kilohertz. Was it always that?
No, good point. When it first started in 34, it was 200 kilohertz. That's 1,500 meters wavelength. They made the switch to 198 kilohertz on February 1st, 1988. And right now, it's pumping out 500 kilowatts of power.
500 kilowatts. That's a lot. And I heard something about it being very precise. The frequency itself.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly stable. The carrier frequency is controlled by rubidium atomic frequency standard.
An atomic clock in the transmitter building.
Yes, precisely. Which means the broadcast signal itself is a highly accurate off-air frequency reference. You could calibrate equipment using it.
Wow. That's quite sophisticated for something that started so long ago.
It is. And get this, originally the station was powered by these huge diesel engines, a real mix of old and new, well, newish tech.
Amazing. So all this kit primarily pushing out BBC Radio 4 on long wave. And it goes pretty far, right?
It really does. The signal covers most of England and Wales easily. It reaches well into the Republic of Ireland, and even parts of Western Europe could pick it up clearly.
Right. You could be driving through France and still get Radio 4.
For sure. It had, and still has, a very wide reach.
Which brings us back to that intriguing bit you mentioned earlier, telemetry. Controlling energy meters. How on earth does that work?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the hidden function. Yeah. So besides the Radio 4 audio, that 198 kilohertz signal carries extra digital data. They add it using a technique called phase modulation. Doesn't interfere with the audio.
Phase modulation. Okay. And what data is it carrying?
Well, partly it's a time-of-day signal, which is useful in itself. But the key thing for this discussion is it carries radio teleswitch control signals.
Radio Teleswitching, RTS, you called it. What does it actually do in someone's house?
Right, RTS. Energy companies use it to switch electricity meters between different tariff rates. Like Economy 7 or Economy 10. Where you get cheaper electricity at night.
Ah, okay. For storage heaters and things like that.
Exactly that. Storage heaters, hot water tanks. The RTS signal tells the meter, okay, switch to the cheap rate now or switch back to the peak rate.
So hold on. If you had an Economy 7 tariff for years, your meter was literally listening to Radio 4's long-wave signal to know when to charge you less.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. This started back in the early 1980s. Homes with these RTS-equipped meters have a little receiver built in. It's just waiting for this specific 50-bit data command on the 198 kilohertz signal.
That is genuinely fascinating, a hidden dependency most people wouldn't even know about. And just to be clear, the BBC wasn't setting the prices or managing this system.
Oh, no, not at all. The BBC's role was simply to broadcast the signal, like renting out space on their airwaves, if you like. The actual RTS system that's managed by the Energy Networks Association, the ENA. And the whole thing is regulated by Ofgem, the energy regulator.
Got it. So the BBC was just the messenger, using their existing powerful transmitter, clever reuse of infrastructure.
Very clever. But as we know, this long-wave broadcast is ending. Why now? What's driving the shutdown?
Yeah, what's the reason?
Well, it's been coming for a while. The BBC flagged back in 2011 they wouldn't reinvest heavily in long-wave, mainly due to budget cuts. But there's a big practical problem, too. The technology is really old, specifically these critical valves.
Valves, like in old radios.
Sort of, but much, much bigger and more complex. They're called cooled anode modulator valves, or CAMs. Giant glass vacuum tubes, essentially. And the problem is they're incredibly rare now. The BBC has a limited stock of spares left.
Can't they just make more?
Apparently, it's considered way too risky and expensive. It's a very specialized process. And if a new one failed, it could potentially take out the whole transmitter catastrophically. So it's just not sustainable.
Right, that makes sense. A ticking clock based on spare parts. So we know the separate Radio 4 long-wave program stopped recently.
Yeah, that ended on April 15th, 2024.
But the actual 198 kilohertz signal is still on air?
It is. It's scheduled to keep broadcasting until at least June 30th, 2025.
2025. Why the extension if the main programming is gone?
Purely for this radio teleswitching service. It gives the energy companies and customers more time to switch away from those RTS meters.
Ah, so it directly impacts those energy meters. How many people are we talking about who still relies on this?
It's still quite a few. As of January 2025, the estimate was around 600,000 UK customers still had active RTS meters.
600,000, that's significant.
It is. Though it's coming down, apparently about 300,000 were migrated off the system just during 2024. But yeah, utilities are pushing hard for those remaining customers to get smart meters installed.
Which leads to a bit of an irony, doesn't it? We're phasing out this old, reliable radio-based system to push people onto smart meters. But we keep hearing about problems with the smart meter rollout itself.
Absolutely. There are reports suggesting over, 4 million smart meters in the UK aren't operating correctly for various reasons. Sometimes it's communication issues, especially as the older 2G and 3G mobile networks, which some early smart meters used, are being switched off.
So we swap one technology dependency for another, potentially less stable one?
Well, it highlights the complexities, doesn't it? Transitioning technology on a national scale is never simple. You solve one problem, maybe create another.
A technological balancing act. Now, you mentioned earlier the signal reached Europe. Does long wave have a broader history there?
Oh, definitely. While we're focused on the UK impact today, long wave was historically vital across Europe for national broadcasting. Its ability to cover huge areas with a single transmitter made it ideal before satellites and widespread FM or digital. Droitwich reaching Western Europe just shows that power.
So part of a bigger picture of how radio shaped communication across the continent.
Exactly. Its decline is part of that bigger shift towards newer digital technologies.
So wrapping this up then, it seems shutting down this, seemingly old radio transmitter has these unexpected ripples, especially for potentially hundreds of thousands of people managing their electricity costs via this hidden RTS system.
Precisely. The end of Radio 4 on long wave is one thing, maybe a nostalgic loss for some. But the fact this signal was also performing this vital, invisible function in the energy grid for decades, it really shows how layered our infrastructure is.
And the whole situation with the smart meter transition certainly makes you think about how we manage these changes, how we ensure the new systems are as reliable as the old ones they replace.
It really does. It poses that bigger question, doesn't it? As technology races ahead, how do we strike the right balance between adopting the new and potentially losing the proven reliability of the old? It's something to ponder, I think. This intersection of radio history, energy policy, and the ongoing evolution of technology. A fascinating case study.